This time on Between the Wheels.
The younger guys, they don't really know what it is. They'll flag me to pass them. There's still a kid in me. My dad purchased a car for me in 1990, and I lost my dad in 1999. I really miss him, and for me to get rid of the car, it's something I can't do. I don't need to sell it, and it brings a lot of memories of my dad. How long have you owned your car for? I'm Steve Hamry, and I'm from Ottawa, and I owned a 1983 Datsun 280ZX. You want to go for a ride?
They're 6 years old. Wow.
So welcome to beautiful Orleans, Ontario. This is a suburb in the east end of Ottawa. And I'm standing out here outside of Corrine Wilson High School. So if you're wondering what the hell am I doing standing outside of high school, that's because our next guest went here. And he's had his car since he was in high school. He's had it for 32 years. He has a vintage Datsun. He's gonna join us now and he's gonna tell us his story. Let's go check out his car. So I'm standing here with Steve in Ottawa. Steve, you're kind of a popular guy here in town. I feel like I've known you for a long time, even though I just met you, because you're actually a really popular real estate agent.
I'm born and raised in Ottawa. Went to school here, went to college here, went to high school here, public school. I am in real estate, and I do have a burger named after me at one of the local restaurants.
That's right, Oko Kitchen. So if you go there, you actually see, I guess, a painting of you up on the wall.
Yeah, my friend Joey White painted that for me. He airbrushed the whole picture, and yeah, it's kind of comical.
That's very cool, man. So let's talk about your car here. So what am I looking at here?
This is a 1983 280ZX 2+2 made by Datsun. It was the last Datsun built. After Datsun, they went to Nissan.
Okay.
And this is the last of the 280ZX before they went to the 300ZX.
First thing I noticed when I look at this vehicle, it's not exactly stock. You've done a couple things to it. I see the headlights are a little bit different, but you've also done some other modifications. Maybe take us through some of the modifications that you've done to this vehicle.
I've owned the car for 32 years, and it came from Texas. And when I originally purchased the car, the Texas sun had faded the car, so it has been repainted. Okay. It was painted well over 30 years ago. So this is 30-year-old paint job, which
wow.
I've kept. The car is indoors and in the garage, stored for winters. Never seen snow. I've done a few modifications to it. I've skirted the car to get rid of the black bumpers. I've modified the wheels, as well as a custom exhaust system. So if you notice on the car, the actual hood opens reverse than a traditional vehicle.
Why is that? Is there any reason why they do that?
I think just the style. It's actually easy to work on this way.
That's true, eh?
It looks cooler when you're at a car show too.
It definitely looks cooler, that's for sure.
It definitely catches people's eye when the hood is open the other way instead of the traditional way. So I've done a few modifications to it. Actually a polished valve cover. I've done a fuel rail. I've added a cam, header pipe, the ram air induction, as well as a big throat throttle body. These originally came with 145 horsepower.
Really?
I'm not really sure what horsepower it is now. And that's not a lot of horsepower. That's like a tractor.
and how many cylinders does this one have?
This is an inline 6.
Okay. Inline 6 and it only had 145 horsepower.
Yeah, it's a pretty indestructible motor though.
Right, Nissans are known for that.
Yeah, they haven't
The old ones.
They changed. They got rid of the inline six and they went to a V6 in the 300, and continue moving forward. That you don't see many inlines anymore.
No, it's very rare. And I noticed one thing. You have actually a signature on the hood. What's the story with that?
Yeah, so I got a couple signatures. They're from car shows, and it's actually Mr. K who originally designed the Datsun back in the early 70s.
Really?
He's passed away since, but he did sign my car in a couple places under the hood and on the mirror. But he was the original designer in Japan.
Wow.
That designed the Datsun.
That is wild. So you had the original designer sign your car.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat.
That's like getting one of Wayne Gretzky's hockey sticks signed. That's pretty cool.
For car enthusiasts, that's a pretty cool signature.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So you've had this car for 32 years. So tell us the story about how you got this vehicle.
So my dad was down in Texas on business, and he came home and said I might have found something. He told my mom that he had a one-way ticket to Tyler to Texas, and they flew down to Tyler, Texas, and they drove the car back.
Okay, so this thing's from the U.S.
Yeah, it came from Tyler, Texas. It was kind of a love story with my mom and dad that they drove it back. Had a few bonds and great memories driving the car through the States up to Canada, and we got it back in Ottawa here in May of 1990.
Wow. So your parents actually went all the way to Texas and then drove all the way back just to get you a car.
Oh yeah, my dad wore the Stetson coming from Texas. He had the Stetson hat on, he had the T-tops opened, and I don't think my mom would do it again.
That's a long drive.
That's a long drive, yeah.
It's a couple days.
Yeah, but they had a lot of fun, and I know the memories will live long forever.
That's very cool. Well, my dad actually drove to just to the border, just across from Michigan, to get my Jeep back when I was 16 years old. So not as far as Tyler, Texas, but still I understand that. And ironically, I've also owned my first vehicle since high school and still have it. So I really like your stories.
My dad purchased a car for me in 1990, and it was when I was 18. Went to Green Wilson. I always took care of the car. I was always cleaning, washing it. He knew the pride and joy I took care of it. He loved driving it. I loved driving it. The car was always clean. You'd never see it dirty. It would always be indoors, car cover on it in the wintertime. And I lost my dad in 1999. I really miss him, and for me to get rid of the car, it's something I can't do.
It's a physical connection that you have with this. It's this item that at one point in your life was such a big part together. I totally understand. It would be very difficult to get rid of a car like this. A lot of people don't understand that unless they've dealt with it.
They don't, but people say, well, you still have that car, why do you still own it? Or their family member will say, are you gonna ever sell it? And like, car doesn't owe me anything.
You get some money for it, right? Everyone.
I don't need to sell it, and it brings a lot of memories of my dad.
You can't put value on memories like that with your family members. So
No.
I don't think any amount of money would make you want to get rid of it, obviously. So
I still enjoy driving it and going up and down St. Joseph Boulevard and Innes Road, and a lot of people look at me, and the younger guys, they don't really know what it is, or they'll flag me to pass them. But
another thing, I'm looking at the car here, and one of the things I noticed about the hood, it's got a very, very unique hood. Is this stock, or is this something?
So this is stock for the 1983 280ZX 2+2.
Really?
But it's actually a turbo hood.
Okay. And what does that mean for people?
This is not a turbo. The reason for the louvers is to cool the turbo down. They were grabbing the last remnants of the 280ZX.
Okay.
And they happen to have this hood on this car.
It's very cool. It's a really nice hood. It's a defining look. And when I look at it from this angle here, the hood with the headlights that you did, obviously not stock headlights, didn't have LED back in the day.
No, those are LED. They're a little brighter than their traditional halogens.
Right.
But they're pretty bright, and they finally go with the car.
It looks really nice. I saw the picture and some of the pictures you sent me, and it was kind of like a far shot, so I couldn't really see. I'm like, what are those lights? It's pretty nice. So it's getting away from the classic look, kind of getting a modern look, but it looks really nice. I think you did a really good job with it.
Thanks. I tried to keep it pretty clean, even with the interior that I redid the interior. I sort of kept it in the 80s look.
Yeah, so what did you do with the interior anyways?
So they're original seats, and I just had them recovered, and I put a new headliner in, modified the doors with a sound system just to give it a little boost. That was years ago, but it's a comfortable car, and it's got lumbar support, and the car talks to you. your doors open or your headlights are on.
It's kind of like
So the technology was
Knight
there
Rider, right?
back in the 80s, back in the early 80s.
Right. So it's from the 80s, but you've done some modern adjustments to make it more to the times these days.
Yes.
And the rims here, obviously these are not the stock rims. Maybe just tell.
Yeah,
about
so
the
they
rims.
would originally came with 14-inch rims.
Okay.
The offset on the rims are 0. I was able to get these. I wanted a little larger rim, a little less profile. So these are 17s with wheel spacers, so it makes the wheel look a lot bigger and it actually lowers the car a little bit.
Really?
Suspension, I did put new springs in.
Okay, you put new springs in.
Lowered it about an inch.
Okay, so it is lowered. So okay, I was gonna say it does look lower than it would. Not that I know how high the stock vehicle is, but obviously it's a little different. And it's got a really cool roof as well. It's got like windows on the top.
Yeah, so the T-top really came back from the Trans Am, like Burt Reynolds.
That's right. It does look like the Trans Am. I was wondering where I've seen that before.
I like the roofs on, the T-tops on.
Right.
Me on a windy day, my hair goes a little crazy.
So you just bust them. How do those open anyways?
Just one lever. And then they just sit in the trunk.
That's very cool that you have the separate windows. So in case your wife doesn't want any, you can turn yours open, right?
Yeah, half and half.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I've been to the few car shows. Okay. Pulled off a couple first places.
Really?
Some in Kingston, Syracuse, New York. A few car shows in town. As well as the couple local Nissan dealerships. Back in the day, I brought it to car shows, and because this is a 2+2, I'm in my sort of own class because there's not many 2+2s around.
Okay, and what does that mean, 2+2, for people that wouldn't
2+2 is 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Back in the day in high school, we could jam about 6 people in here.
Yeah. And now you mentioned off camera that obviously you got this while you were in high school. You had kind of a wild story with the auto garage here with this car. What's that story?
Yeah, so I did take auto mechanics at Corinne Wilson. I was able to park my car in the garage on first period. There was always a spare on the second, so I usually left my car there, and then I'd pull it out at noon to take it wherever I needed to go.
That's pretty cool, kind of a spectacle that people could see.
It was more my last year that I had the car in the garage, but you know, we just sort of tinker around on it.
Yeah, well, nobody had nice cars back then, though. Like everyone's first cars are usually kind of shit boxes. So
I think it was me with my Datsun. I had a buddy with an Alfa Romeo, and maybe one guy with a Mustang. Okay. That was it for nice cars.
Nice. All right, so that's really cool, Steve. Thanks for showing us the car. Obviously, there's only one thing left to do. We got to take this thing for a rip.
Yeah, let's go. You want to go for a ride?
You know, it sounds a lot more powerful than it is.
People say, is that a V8?
It does sound like a V8. What do you got in this thing, a big block? And these mirrors are absolutely tiny. That's
powered too.
Oh, no kidding. That's cool.
And the car will talk to you.
Left door is open.
It actually talks to you? It is like Knight Rider. It's a little cooler. I've never actually seen one of these around in town before.
You know, very rarely.
So how common are these cars, would you say?
You might see some 240 and 280s. They seem to be a little more popular, but the 280ZX, I just don't see many around. But when you do, you have the Datsun Wave.
What's the Datsun Wave?
Thumbs up at the window.
And these have power windows, eh?
Yeah. Want to put those up?
Yeah. Well, there's some sound protection. You know, a lot of these cars I drive, you can't even hear us inside here.
So often I'll park my work car at home, and then I'll go to the store in this and maybe get some groceries or go get an ice cream.
Right.
My wife and I, Samantha, will drive to the local Dairy Queen and go for an ice cream.
So you got to find reasons to drive it. It's not your daily driver, obviously, but it's just explain what a feeling it is being able to drive this after so many years and just go out and do something. Like, how does that feel to you?
It just feels like yesterday. Like, it feels like when I was 18 again.
Nice.
We had a lot of great times. You know, we'd drive my friends home from school and pick my friends up to go to school, and we'd go to parties together. Pack 3 or 4 people in the back.
In the two-seater. Wow.
We were a lot smaller back then.
Right. Well, it's much more fun sitting in the front now. So the transmission, you got a 5-speed manual here.
5-speed manual transmission. Yeah, stick shift, obviously, yeah. It's actually a really easy car to drive. The way the clutching works and the transmission, it's very smooth. It almost feels like you're driving an automatic. Maybe I'm just good with the clutch.
I think you got really used to it after those 32 years.
I've been trying to teach my son how to drive it so he can take it out, but
Okay.
he's almost there.
How old is he?
He's 17.
Well, it's time to drive manual, that's for sure. They're not going to be around forever, but, you know, is this something you would pass down to your son in the future?
Yeah, I already asked him if he wanted it, but he wanted to get his own car first. So.
Oh, come on, really?
He knows he can always take this out.
Okay.
No questions asked.
How would you say no to this? This is so badass.
He's pretty, he's a lot like me. He likes to detail the car, he likes to keep it clean.
Yeah.
He's a very careful driver.
Well, but my dad, the first car he let me drive was a 1990 Mazda MPV with no rear windshield. Not the coolest thing in the world compared to this. I think if my dad offered this, I'd probably say yes.
It is just a summer vehicle.
Yeah.
So he wanted something he could drive all year round.
I like the gauge clusters here too. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, the visibility of everything, like the tach, the speedometer, the oil pressure, battery, they're all very visible by the driver.
Wow. Very cool. I don't know why this car reminds me of the Trans Am. If for some reason it just...
It must be the T-tops.
Yeah, it must be.
Do you feel a bit like Burt Reynolds?
A little bit, yeah. Smokey and the Bandit. Very cool. I just can't grow such a badass mustache.
Yeah. All it needs is a CD.
Right. You know, it doesn't feel like this thing has 145 horsepower.
No, I think it's a little more. I've always wanted to get it dynoed, but
Right.
to see what the actual horsepower is, but
Because those upgrades you've done obviously would have added some horsepower. They're not just
definitely made it louder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it just feels that way, but it feels fast. You know.
Yeah. Since I got the exhaust system, well, we put the header pipe in, and we got a custom exhaust system done by Don Forney's Automotive. They did an awesome custom job and brought the pipes right from the header pipe, widened it before the differential, and brought dual pipes out the back.
Right. Yeah, I saw you. So that bumper, you actually had it removed, had a custom bumper put on for the dual exhaust.
There's a custom skirt around the whole car. I got rid of all the black bumpers, and then in the rear, we did a cutout for the second exhaust system, just to modify it. It makes it different than the rest, and obviously when I brought it to shows before, it definitely stood out because it had dual exhaust.
Right.
Because most of them only have the single pipe.
And that skirt really makes it unique. Because when I first saw the vehicle on pictures, I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was more like a Porsche. I'm like, that's not a Datsun. I was really doubting that, but now when you mentioned the old bumpers, it definitely will have a completely different look.
The younger generation still question what car is that. They have to take a second guess and come look or ask the question.
That's not a bad thing. Very cool. So pretty much your whole family's in real estate. You let your brother drive this thing?
I think the last time my brother was in it was probably when my dad was driving. I was slammed in the back seat, and I remember that clear as day because I could hardly fit back there. I'm taller than my brother, but I ended up, because I'm the younger one, I got to sit in the back seat. My dad was driving, and my brother was in the passenger seat.
Wow, it's been that
the
long.
last time I think my brother was in the car with me.
Wow. That's surprising because you guys seem very close. Obviously, you guys work together. You're both real estate agents. I guess you work really closely with your niece, his daughter.
Yeah, if you know the name Hamry and you're in Ottawa, guarantee they sell real estate.
Yeah. that's why I called you. I had our house sold by one of your agents, Karen.
Yeah, Karen's awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Karen for setting this up.
Yeah, definitely in good hands with Karen McDonald.
Yeah, she's awesome. So it was awesome having you on the show, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. Special thanks to Karen for having you on the show. And
I really appreciate it. I always want to tell my story and you know, own the car for 32 years. Let's see how much longer I can own it for.
very cool, man. All right, well, we'll see you around, man.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Next time on Between the Wheels.
On this very special episode, we're taking a walk down memory lane, a window into the past. This is Joe's Boneyard. It contains over 400 vintage vehicles left for dead that would normally be scrapped, but instead are here to get preserved. Now these vehicles are past saving, so most of them will go in the scrapyard and get crushed, but this place is meant to preserve them. Join me now as we go take a stroll in Joe's Boneyard.